The bond between two brothers, once thought to be unbreakable, has been ground to dust. For King Charles III and his younger brother, Andrew, the relationship isn't just broken. Royal insiders claim it's shattered beyond all repair. The chasm that has opened between the king and the former Duke of York is now so vast, so filled with resentment and institutional necessity, that sources close to the monarchy are making a startling claim. The two men will never be seen together in public again. Not at Christmas, not at state occasions, not even, some whisper, at a future funeral. This is the story of a final, dramatic break within the House of Windsor. A story of duty versus family, of long-simmering tensions, and of a king forced to make an impossible choice to save the crown from the scandal of his own brother. It all started with a toxic friendship that would unravel a royal life, but it ended with a cold, hard decision by a new king. The scandal around Prince Andrew's connection to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein has been a slow-burning fire for the monarchy for years. But when King Charles III took the throne, everything changed. Where there was once a mother's perceived indulgence, there is now a monarch's unyielding resolve. The king has been systematically dismantling his brother's royal life, piece by painful piece, in a calculated effort to protect the institution he now leads. The most public-facing titles are gone, the battle for his palatial home is all but lost, and now, it seems the fraternal bond itself is a casualty. This isn't just a family feud, it's a royal reckoning. To really get the sheer depth of this fracture, we have to look past the recent headlines. The story of Charles and Andrew is a classic tale of the heir and the spare, a dynamic that has haunted royal siblings for centuries. Born 12 years apart, the two princes grew up in completely different worlds. Charles, born while his mother was still a princess, was saddled with the weight of destiny from day one. Andrew, on the other hand, arrived a decade after Queen Elizabeth II had taken the throne and was seen as the charming, swashbuckling son, the Queen's favorite, who even saw active duty as a helicopter pilot in the Falklands War. This difference in temperament and destiny bred a quiet, competitive tension. Royal biographers note that Andrew has long resented Charles, feeling he could do a better job. Conversely, Charles resented the freedoms his younger brother was given. It was an imbalance that festered for years. While Charles walked the structured path to the throne, Andrew carved out a role that often blurred the lines between royal duty and personal gain. His appointment as the UK's Special Representative for International Trade and Investment in 2001 was what really sowed the seeds of his downfall. Even at the time, Charles reportedly had his doubts, believing his brother lacked the diplomatic experience for such a sensitive role. The Queen, however, is said to have insisted on it. It's a decision Charles, now king, can only look back on with grim vindication, surely thinking, "I told you so." This role gave Andrew a global stage, but it also put him in the orbit of immense wealth and questionable characters, earning him the nickname Air Miles Andy. And ultimately, it led him straight into Jeffrey Epstein's toxic circle. But the true point of no return in their personal relationship came years later. According to royal author Robert Jobson, Charles confronted Andrew directly about Epstein around 2013 or 2014. In what was described as a massive conversation, Andrew gave his older brother complete and utter assurance that he had done nothing wrong. For Charles, a man to whom duty is everything, the eventual unraveling of those assurances would be seen as the ultimate betrayal. It wasn't just a public scandal, it was a deeply personal deception. The public unraveling began in earnest in November 2019 with Prince Andrew's disastrous BBC Newsnight interview. Intended to clear his name, it did the exact opposite, becoming a public relations catastrophe from which his reputation would never recover. In the immediate aftermath, he was forced to step back from all public duties. His mother, Queen Elizabeth II, took the initial steps. Andrew was stripped of his honorary military affiliations and royal patronages, and he stopped using the style His Royal Highness in any official capacity. It was a huge rebuke, but Andrew remained a protected, if awkward, presence. He was still seen at some family events, like the memorial for his father, Prince Philip. But behind the scenes, his brother Charles and nephew, Prince William, were reportedly united in their belief that a much harder line was needed. The death of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022 and the accession of King Charles III marked the beginning of the end. The new king knew that the modern monarchy's survival depended on severing itself from the Andrew scandal. No more soft-pedaling, no more ambiguity. One of the first signs of this new era was the battle over Royal Lodge. For years, Andrew had lived in the sprawling, 30-room mansion on the Windsor estate. But the king made it clear that this was no longer tenable. Charles began to squeeze his brother financially, cutting off his annual allowance and, crucially, stopping the funding for his extensive private security, which cost up to £3 million a year. Without the sovereign grant, the cost of maintaining Royal Lodge became an impossible burden. For months, a standoff ensued. But the financial pressure was a brutally effective tool. Facing immense personal costs, Andrew was left with no real choice. By early 2026, the battle was effectively over, with Andrew forced to surrender the keys. He was relocated to Wood Farm, a much more modest cottage on the Sandringham estate, the same secluded home where his father, Prince Philip, had spent his retirement. The symbolism was stark. The former prince was now in exile, removed from the heart of the royals' world. Even as Andrew was being pushed into exile, the ground was shifting in an even more profound way. In late 2025, after the posthumous publication of a memoir by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, one of Epstein's most prominent accused, but things were about to escalate dramatically. Following the release of more files connected to Jeffrey Epstein, allegations surfaced that Andrew may have shared sensitive government information with the financier while he was the UK's trade envoy. In February 2026, in a move that sent shockwaves through the nation, Andrew was arrested on his 66th birthday on suspicion of misconduct in public office. He was held for about 11 to 12 hours before being released under investigation. The king's response was swift and absolute. Buckingham Palace released a statement not of brotherly support, but of institutional resolve. Charles declared he had learned of the news with the deepest concern and that the authorities had the royal family's full and wholehearted support and cooperation. He ended with a line that drew a clear boundary between family and state. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. In that moment, he wasn't a brother, he was the head of state. Just hours after the news broke, the king and queen carried on with their scheduled engagements, signaling that the monarchy would not be derailed. The arrest became the final justification for a move that once seemed unthinkable, removing Andrew from the line of succession. While he is eighth in line, making his ascension to the throne a statistical impossibility, the principle of it became a pressing concern. Removing a royal from the line of succession is complex, requiring an act of parliament and the agreement of the 14 other Commonwealth realms where Charles is also head of state. Immediately, the gears began to turn. The British Prime Minister confirmed the government was looking at options. Support began to flood in from the Commonwealth. The Prime Minister of Australia confirmed his government would agree to any proposal, stating the allegations were grave and that Australians take them seriously. The Canadian Prime Minister also voiced his support, calling Andrew's actions deplorable and a necessity. The path was being cleared for the ultimate sanction. Royal experts now believe it's not a question of if, but when. The story of the monarchy is one of constant evolution and, at times, brutal adaptation. So what are we really seeing here? A pivotal chapter in the reign of King Charles III. But what do you think? Is the king right to take such a hard line against his own brother to protect the crown? Or has the family gone too far? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay informed on the inner workings of the royal family, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. The result of all these events has been the complete ostracization of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He is a man stripped of his titles, his home, and his place in the family's public life. Royal biographers now agree that the relationship between Charles and Andrew is beyond repair. The public snubs have been painfully obvious. Andrew wasn't on the Buckingham Palace balcony for the king's coronation, a powerful symbol of the new, slimmed-down monarchy. At one of the last events where they were in the same vicinity, cameras caught a moment of excruciating awkwardness as Andrew tried to speak to Prince William, only to be met with a withering side-eye. Like his father, William is reportedly adamant that his uncle has no future in the family. The fall from grace is total. There's now a consensus among royal watchers that we will never again see King Charles and his brother Andrew share a public stage. The damage is too deep, the risk to the monarchy too great. One of the most chilling predictions comes from royal author Andrew Loney, who put the brothers' estrangement in the starkest possible terms. "I don't think we'll see Andrew at Charles's funeral." It's a shocking statement that underscores the finality of this break, suggesting a wound so deep that not even the ultimate family tragedy could heal it. King Charles was forced to make a decision that pitted his role as monarch against his role as a brother. And in that contest, the institution has won. He has shown, in the clearest and most ruthless terms, that the integrity of the crown comes before all else, even blood. In doing so, he isn't just casting out his brother. He is forging the identity of his reign and sending a powerful message about the kind of monarchy he intends to lead, one that is smaller, more focused, and utterly intolerant of any scandal that threatens its survival.